Hi Dee, how are you? Hello everyone. This is, of course, Empowering Democracy, and I'm your host, Joe Firestone, and it's October 26, 2022 at 11 a.m. Thank you very much for coming. Please like, share, and subscribe. Our topic for this stream is Dr. Oz thinks local politicians should have a say between a woman and her doctor. What? Well, that is what Oz had to say. It was something buried in the verbiage that he gave, but it was there. It was there. And let me share the screen right now. Let me do this first. I'm sorry, my computer seems to be a little slow today, but it will work in just a second. Okay, thank you. I did want to share this stream first, but moving to a Common Dreams article about what Oz had to say. Let's check that out. Of course, this follows on the stream of last night, pointing out why it doesn't matter who won the debate, that the choice should be Fetterman anyway. But this article is another reason. Quote, belongs nowhere near the Senate, unquote. Oz says local politicians should play a role in abortion decisions. And this one is by Jake Johnson, was published just this morning, October 26, 2022. And it's from Common Dreams. And Jake says Republican U.S. Senate nominee Dr. Mehmet Oz said on the Pennsylvania debate stage Tuesday night that local Republican leaders, quote unquote, have a role to play in abortion decisions, drawing swift condemnation from reproductive rights advocates and Democratic candidate John Fetterman, whose campaign is planning to run ads highlighting the comment. Yeah, that comment is just too juicy. Here's a quote from Oz. He said, there should not be involvement from the federal government in how states decide their abortion decisions. Oz said when asked about his position on abortion, which has become a central midterm issue, following the U.S. Supreme Court's June decision in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. And here's the full quote from Oz. Quote, I want women, doctors, local political leaders letting the democracy that's always allowed our nation to thrive to put the best ideas forward so states can decide for themselves, unquote, Oz added. So according to Oz, your local political leaders should be getting between you and your doctors. Your local your local political leaders who may be your neighbors should get between you and your doctors when it comes to your choice of whether to have an abortion or not. Can you imagine the conflict that that's going to cause in local communities? Your neighbor is going to tell you whether you can have an abortion or not. How many people will be killed if we let local political leaders interfere in abortion decisions? I mean, this is a recipe for open conflict all across the whole United States. This is the opinion of an idiot. Asked specifically about whether he would support Senator Lindsey Graham's proposal to ban abortion nationwide after 15 weeks of pregnancy, Oz refused to provide a yes or no answer, reiterating that he opposes federal involvement, but of course is for involvement of your neighbors in your decision. And I suppose if anyone decides to have an abortion, then he's going to be in favor of scarlet letters. Quote, I'm not going to support federal rules that block the ability of states to do what they wish to do, said Oz, who was previously called abortion at any stage of pregnancy, quote, murder, unquote. Hey, Oz, the Bible says that for a fetus to be a person, it has to be born first. Born first, Dr. Oz. That's what the Old Testament has to say. I'm not going to play this. There's really no need to play it. It just says what I just said. Anyway, Alexis McGill Johnson, the president of Planned Parenthood, responded that, quote, no politician should make this decision, period, unquote. Fetterman, Pennsylvania's lieutenant governor, contrasted his stance with Oz's by stressing his support for codifying Roe v. Wade into law, something the currently razor-thin Democratic majority has repeatedly failed to do because of obstruction from right-wing members of the caucus. If you believe that the choice for abortion belongs between you and your doctor, that's what I fight for, Fetterman said in the first and only debate in the battleground race that could decide which party controls the Senate next year. Fetterman's campaign wasted no time seizing on Oz's stated support for giving local politicians a say in reproductive health decisions, a view he expressed as Republican legislatures across the U.S. are imposing draconian abortion bans that are denying pregnant people basic health care. I shouldn't be laughing. This is not at all funny. It's not at all funny. What's funny, of course, is that Oz slipped and let his real views come out. In a statement following Tuesday's debate, Fetterman's campaign announced it will be unveiling an ad Wednesday that spotlights Oz's radical, out-of-touch comment. Our campaign will be putting money behind making sure as many women as possible hear Dr. Oz's radical belief that, quote, local political leaders, unquote, should have as much say over a woman's abortion decisions as women themselves and their doctors, said Joe Calvello, a spokesperson for the Fetterman campaign. Quote, after months of trying to hide his extreme abortion position, Oz let it slip on the debate stage on Tuesday, unquote. That's because Oz was trying to talk too fast. Quote, Oz belongs nowhere near the U.S. Senate, Calvello added, and suburban voters across Pennsylvania will see just how out of touch Oz is on this issue. He really is out of touch. I think Oz doesn't care about what women think. I think throughout the campaign, he's been making himself pretty clear about this particular view. He thinks that men in legislatures should decide what women will be allowed to do when it comes to abortion. That's really the issue. The rights of women to make the choice are being taken away. And even in states where the legislatures are deciding to allow abortion in their states, there the situation is that it is generally men who are deciding whether to give women this right. So it's not a right, it's just something that men give to women. This thing is really outrageous. We cannot allow it. On this alone, Oz needs to be defeated. But last night, in my 9 o'clock stream, okay, I outlined a whole range of reasons why Fetterman is a better choice than Oz. So if you're interested in finding out why, I recommend that you go to my last night's stream and find out. So let me check into your comments at this time. And we have a bunch of greetings. Hey, Amber, nice to see you. And Dolores, of course, it's always nice to see you. And Kay, thank you for coming, Kay. You are at every stream lately. I've noticed since I left KRTD Media, you're now at every stream. That's amazing. And Amber says, good morning. Amber, good morning to you. I love to see you here. And Kay says, Oz is a mess. And Kay says, I watched it live last night. I assume you're talking about the debate. I watched it live last night, too. I can't say it was all fun. I wasn't pleased with John's performance. Of course, it took a lot of guts to have any performance at this point, because John still has a ways to go when it comes to recovery. But again, as I said last night, what people have to realize is that there will be full recovery according to his doctors. He can handle the job in the Senate, according to his doctors. Also, I should mention the call for Fetterman to make his records entirely available at this point in the campaign. That call is just madness. Here's why. We have 2 weeks left before the campaign. John makes his records fully public. And then what's going to happen, folks? What do you think is going to happen? What will happen is that doctors who favor John will say he's fit. And doctors who favor Oz will find all kinds of excuses in his record that suggest he's not fit for office. And then the two doctor sides will argue and argue for the next 2 weeks. And they won't be discussing any of the real issues of the campaign. All they'll be doing is arguing about what his medical records actually show. Now, isn't that what's going to happen? Is that really the best way to conduct the rest of this campaign? Is that really going to illuminate the choice that voters have to make? I think the treatment that I gave comparing the two men last night, I think that's the basis, or something like it anyway, on which voters ought to decide. They need to make a comparison of who is more likely to be in support of several key things that involve the public purpose, and ask themselves, who's likely to be better at supporting these key things? It turns out when you do a comparison like that Fetterman is much the better man. Much the better man to support. That comparison was so easy, it wasn't even close. So once again, I say, go to Empowering Democracy on YouTube and check out what I had to say last night. I spent an hour comparing the two guys. And none of it involved any medical records. Arguments over medical records are not needed. The reason why they're not needed, if it turns out that Fetterman is not fit for office, he will resign when the time comes. Then the choice of who will serve will go to the governor, of Pennsylvania. So you have to ask yourself, who's going to be the governor? Is it going to be Mastriano? Or is it going to be Shapiro? If you want a good progressive governor, then it will be Shapiro. And if you want a governor that's likely to make a progressive choice in case Fetterman cannot serve, then the governor who will do that would be Shapiro. The likelihood now is that Shapiro is going to easily win his race against that utter fool Mastriano. And so then you'll still have a progressive senator even if Fetterman cannot serve. That's what's important here, not the details of Fetterman's medical record. Okay, folks, that's all I have to say on that subject for today, at least for this morning. I'll see you again at okay, I believe it's 11:40, when I'll be talking about the ridiculous things Republicans are saying about uh, how they're going to have a debt ceiling crisis and what they're going to want in order to settle the debt ceiling crisis. They're going to hold us all hostage again. So you'll hear about that at 11:40. But now it won't just be Medicare and Social Security. They've got bigger plans than that in terms of what to hold hostage. God, I'll see you at 11:40. Thanks.